Hey everybody, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Sarah Ann Vale. Today we're gonna make diet-free fried fish. I have some tilapia fillets here. I've seasoned them with some seasoned salt. I took them out of my fridge a half hour ago so that they could come to room temperature. We're going to fry our tilapia fillets inspired by like a southern catfish fry. We're gonna do it a diet-free way, and instead of the cornmeal, we're actually gonna use quinoa. So I'm gonna set up my breading station. We're gonna shallow fry. You could deep fry, you could bake these just like we did our chicken tenders. I have a gluten-free AP flour. You can use whatever flour you want. Remember, anytime you have any element of your recipe, it must be seasoned. We don't want any bland layers of flavor. We want all big, bold, beautiful flavors. Especially if we're gonna add breading to something, it's meant to add texture and flavor and deliciousness. So I've got a bunch of seasoned salt right inside of my gluten-free AP flour. You can actually see just that little bit of orange right on there. I'm gonna give myself 2 eggs. You can always add, but you can't take away. This is all about the preparation. Once you start to bread your fish, you wanna have everything ready before you start your assembly line. We're gonna dip our fish into our seasoned flour, into our egg, then into our quinoa, so that quinoa sticks to the edge just like a traditional cornmeal would. And then we're gonna let them set before we fry everybody all together. Gorgeous filet number 1. Tilapia is a really good, firm frying fish. It's very similar to cod or catfish. You could do either of those as well. We're gonna go right from our flour into our egg. Just get a simple coating. Because we have the moisture of the egg with the flour, that's what's creating the batter. And right into our quinoa. Be very gentle. You want just to roll. You don't need a ton of quinoa on here. You want just a nice single layer. Fillet 2. So we've seasoned our fish and seasoned our flour. So we're gonna get seasoning in the fillet itself and seasoning in the batter. And then once it comes out of the frying pan, we're gonna season it again. The quinoa is so pretty. Once it fries up too, it has like a nutty, popcorny smell. We're gonna add some extra texture, flavor, a little bit of fiber right into our fried fish. You could do whatever you want here. You could do coconut just like we have in the past. You could do potato chips. You could keep it simple and just go flour, egg, flour. Our finale filet. We're gonna make zucchini chips, and we're gonna use the same exact egg and flour from the fish fry, but we're gonna change it up. We're gonna go egg to flour so that we get a nice fine breading. It's gonna seal all those yummy juices into our zucchini and give us something to dip in. I'm gonna cut rings in my zucchini. Get our new assembly line all ready to go. Easy, easy. The egg is gonna bind that flour to the outside of each of our little zucchini discs. They're like little coins. You'll want just enough flour to absorb the egg that you've got on the outside, but you can still see that beautiful bright green zucchini middle and that rich dark green zucchini skin. Keep those skins. So much nutrition is in that skin. And it's just a good texture too. Having multiple textures, especially in a fried food, just makes it more fun to eat. That's why we fry food, because it's fun to eat.
Zucchini is loaded with minerals but low in sugar, so you can load up on the nutrition without the calories.
Now that everybody's breaded, we can fry them up. We're gonna shallow fry our fish and our zucchini. I'm gonna preheat my pan to high, and the second that we see our oil kind of thin and jiggly, that's how we know it's hot enough. We don't wanna see smoke. In here, I have just enough oil that the bottom has about like 1/8 of an inch of coverage. You just need it to barely cover the bottom of the pan. I have avocado oil in here. You can fry with coconut, peanut, whatever you want to use. Safflower is a really good high frying oil. We're gonna know this is hot enough when we see that jiggle of the oil. It gets a little closer to like a water consistency because it's hot. I'm starting to see just little tiny bubbles come up from the bottom. That's perfect. That way we know the heat is coming up from the oil. If you wanted to fry with olive oil, make sure you use more of a pure olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil is super healthy for you, but it's also got a much lower smoke point. What that means is it's gonna burn your food at a lower temperature than a pure olive oil or another more easily frying oil would. Our oil's all dancy and ready to go. I hear just a tiny little pop every once in a while.
Time to shallow fry.
We're gonna make sure she's ready by just dipping the very tail of one of our fillets in there, and we should hear that applause. Yep, layer in nice and gently. Perfect. You don't want to overcrowd your pan. If you put too much food in your frying pan, it's gonna take the temperature of your pan way, way down, and you're not gonna get that beautiful sear. Take your time, go one at a time for these beautiful fillets. We're gonna watch, it only takes about 2 minutes for each side for my size fillets. We're gonna watch the beautiful edges of our quinoa. We wanna see them get nice and golden brown. You're also gonna see that fish turn that beautiful pearly white color. You'll see as you fry, the bubbles will go from itty bitty to nice and big. The bigger your bubbles are, the closer you are to turning. Right on the edge of my fish, all that quinoa is now nice and golden. So we're gonna very, very gently rotate her. It's safest to rotate away from your body. There she is, golden and rich. All my beautiful edges are golden brown. She feels strong and firm, but not too tough. So we're gonna release her. Oh yes, both sides are perfect. Take her right onto our paper towel, drain her a little bit. Right after you fry anything, anytime, give it another pinch of salt, pinch of seasoning, and that gives our pan 2 more seconds to reheat again. We're gonna go fish fillet number 2. It's such a joyful sound. Those edges are getting golden. Give her a nice, gentle, careful flip. The quinoa gives it such a good texture. You have that element of like pop and crunch along with the breading on the outside of the fish. Just so you know, quinoa is a great source of fiber and plant-based protein. Now that all of our fish fillets are fried, we're gonna fry up our zucchini chips. You can do a few of these at a time, as long as you give them a solid 2 inches between each other. If your oil's not hot enough, that oil is gonna go right through your batter into your zucchini. We want juicy, fresh zucchini with a crisp batter on the outside. If the oil goes right through that batter, you're gonna have that like floppy, sad, over-fried zucchini. We don't want that. You could also do this with eggplant. You could do this with sweet potatoes, anything that you wanna fry. Super easy breading, you can do it this way. Once you start to see those really big bubbles around the edges and the crisp brown corners on the edge of the zucchini, we're gonna give them a flip, nice and golden. I love those little bits of quinoa that are stuck to the zucchini now from our fish. Just extra crunch is always good. While our fried tilapia and zucchini chips are cooling down, we're gonna make a sauce. I'm gonna make a play on a tartar sauce and a tzatziki. It's like a tartar tzatziki. So we're gonna do a yogurt base. I have about 2 cups of Greek yogurt here, whole milk Greek yogurt. You could use non-fat if you want, but there's not that much fat in here. And that difference of the whole milk Greek yogurt is gonna be so much more rich, especially because we're using this in place of a mayonnaise. So we want it to be creamy and rich and scrumptious. You should never feel like you're giving up anything, just upgrading only. To our Greek yogurt, I'm actually gonna add about a cup of diced pickles. I have a nice sour dill here, mix everybody in there. And add just about a couple teaspoons of garlic salt. This has garlic powder, sea salt, a little bit of dried parsley in there. I'm gonna add the juice from 1 lemon. Give her a roll. Get all of her juices flowing. Citrus is just such a wonderful pairing with fish. That lemon juice is gonna give us just the right amount of moisture to thin that yogurt so it's that perfect dipping consistency. Making a mess. We're gonna use fresh dill inspired by our tzatziki sauce. You can always pull those beautiful dill fronds right off the stems. I like to save the stems for things like soups. Chop it up, kind of roll it like a burrito just a little bit. That'll keep everybody together so you can get more clean cuts right through. The more clean your cuts through any herb, the better, because you want to try and avoid bruising your herbs. If you bend them or crush them, you're gonna bruise those beautiful fronds. All that beautiful dill. She's a big dill. I love the dill, just looks like beautiful confetti. Look at this fried feast. Smells nutty and rich. I'm going zucchini first. The dill. It's like a garden party in your mouth, especially with that lemon. I'm so excited to try this fish with that popping, nutty, wonderful quinoa on top. All the way in. It's still so juicy. That quinoa kept everything all moist inside. And look how nice and thin our crust is. But because of the quinoa, it's still got a ton of crunch and texture. Thank you for cooking diet free with me. Send me your questions, subscribe, and I will see you next week with a diet free recipe.